So, which is the best survival knife? Hey, I'm looking to buy a survival knife for my bug out bag. What should I buy? I'm looking to buy a knife. My budget is about X amount. What is it that you recommend? Well, guys, all of that and a lot more in this video. Folks, welcome to the Mora Survivalist. And as always, if you're interested in these topics, you have the channel full of information. Use the search function, and you have my books, Street Survival Skills and Surviving the Economic Collapse. Both of these will be super helpful to get well prepared, specifically Street Survival Skills for the practical use of all of these tools, knives, guns, EDC, practical skills, water filtration, and basically a ton of practical preparedness and survival information and skills that you should definitely know. All of that in here. And for the economic stuff, this one is the one you want. So let's get to this. I'm gonna do a 3-series video because it is kind of a broad kind of question, but I get this all the time. What is the best survival knife? What is it that I recommend? What is it that I should buy for X amounts of money? I have this or that particular situation. Well, I'll cover this in 3 separate videos. I'll go with small survival knives. The next one is going to be medium survival knives, and the last one is going to be large survival knives. So let's get started with small survival knives, and this is fairly easy and straightforward, surprisingly so. Just get yourself a Mora knife. These things are very affordable, made in Sweden, super high quality, one of those brands that is at this point legendary in the community, both of survival and bushcrafting. These are great knives. I can't really recommend anything else, even though there are other options. And if you want specifically something very niche or something, yeah, and we will talk about that in a second, but I want to get this right out of the way. You're going to be very well served with a Mora clipper or one of their basic Moras. I think this is the 511 here. And these change depending on the year. I think it's 511, isn't it? No, 546. Red green. So they make these in different colors, and you usually have these in both stainless and carbon steel. Oh, a survival knife should be carbon steel. No, it should not. Actually, stainless steel is better. Why? Well, because it won't rust, because it won't get as dirty. It's a lot easier to keep clean. And even though we will talk about carbon steel blades, which they work perfectly well too, this is just better. It is more simple. In survival, you don't want to make things more complicated than they have to be. If you can have a knife that is super tough, super sharp, has no problem whatsoever in resharpening, and avoids the problem of potential rusting, by all means, go with a stainless steel knife. But I really want a carbon steel. Okay, get yourself a carbon steel knife. My point is that this is probably your best bet for most of those things. If you want to get started in survivalism, if you want to get started in bushcrafting, if you want to have 4, 5, 6 different knives and different kits, and you don't want to spend a fortune, if you have a little bit of a more disposable income, but you still don't want to waste money in things that are completely unnecessary, this is the way to go. And there are different options. Some of these are more similar than others, but usually the Scandi grind sort of knife is fairly popular. These are Hultafors. These are very good quality. This is the beater. This is the one that goes out when something needs to be trashed. And this is carbon steel. And this has been left in the ground, used for digging, for little gardening jobs, cutting roots, cutting metal, cutting copper tubes for projects, for my kids, for anything that I want to beat the crap out of a knife. This is what I use, and it is carbon steel, and it has gotten rusted before. Now, no big deal. You just clean it off. You just use some steel wool and remove any rust that you have, and it's going to be developing a patina. And I helped this out a little bit with I think it's vinegar. So I did a patina job with vinegar and cleaned it up and added a little bit of mineral oil, and that works. That just keeps the knife okay. You would not think that this knife has gone through hell in terms of the abuse it has received. Have I actually tried to break it on purpose? No, but I really never held back on beating the crap out of it against anything with a hammer, and it's still here. It's not, I mean, there's nothing here. And this I bought, I think I bought it for $150. There was this big sale in Amazon back in the day when these were not as popular as they are now. And I think I bought like 4 or 5 of these and a bunch of these heavy duty ones. Not this one. This isn't even used. These are even tougher, but that doesn't mean that those are brittle or anything like that. These are just intentionally designed as heavy duty, right? These are specifically made for using it as a chisel with a hammer, and they take up. These are honestly difficult to break even if you try to break them, because I have tried that. Anything can be broken eventually with enough leverage, with enough force, but trust me, even if you have to cut down a rather thick tree and you're batoning and chipping away with this thing, it will not fall apart. It will not break on you. Again, anything can break, and if that's really your main priority, okay, then go with a heavy duty, or maybe we'll go with a larger knife, which we will talk about soon enough in a following video. But my point is that with a Mora, you're more than okay for 99% of the tasks that you would have a knife, or especially a small knife, to use for. There's really not much of a point in bothering with any other else. Now, if you want to get yourself a Fogneven A1 or F1 or whatever the hell it is that's on the same size, for me a small survival knife is 3-4 inch knife. That's, or under that, 4-inch top. From 4-inch down, that's going to be a small survival knife for me. And these are knives that really fit that bill. This a knife that I forged myself a while back, and yes, of course, this is full tang. It looks like crap, but it has that right. It's a thing that you have more of a connection with because you made it yourself. So I have used this knife a lot. It's not as if I've been babying it. And for many years, this was my go-to knife for beating the crap out of. Now, this is the one that replaced this one for that role. It's giving that after a few years, and as I grow older and wiser, or just older, you start getting more romantic with the things of your past, and you try to treasure them a little bit more. So this is a little bit more of a treasured possession for me. So even though I will still use it every once in a while, that just does the same thing. And that is actually better if you need something for cutting because of the Scandi grind. The convex grind is supposed to be tougher, and I guess it is, but mostly this is really not if you want to copy this for yourself or have some knife maker make this for you, kind of go like this. It's very reminiscent of the cold steel roach belly. So there is a historic context for this blade shape, which I really like. The difference is that in my case, it's full tang, and I left a little bit more metal here so that's to use for crushing. So this is really not a bad small survival knife. I think it's probably going to be, I guess it's going to be one of the tougher survival knives that you see here in the table. Very pointy too, so if you have to use it for defense. Now, it hasn't got a decent guard there, so the shape does help a little bit, but I would rather go with something like this, right? This is going to be giving a lot more protection for your hand and keeping your fingers from slipping forward while having a very sharp edge and very pointy tip. So again, as I was saying, Mora, made in Sweden, super affordable, extremely high quality, all day long. You have other options, of course. These are Verijero knives from Argentina. This is more of a traditional thing, and these are nice, but it's really not all that practical. This is made with a very narrow rat tail tang that goes all the way through, and it's a melted tar that is on the inside of this thing, and that was made specifically for changing the blade, because this was the fancy part of your knife. So when you broke it, because these guys used knives a lot and they would break them, instead of losing everything, you would just buy a replacement blade, put this in like boiling water or something like very hot, or in the fire, and once it softens up, you pull it out, you put a new blade in, you hammer the tang on this end, put a little bit of a cap there, and once it cools down, it's already in place and you have your new knife. But this is more of a certain aesthetic look to it, and not really all that practical, even though it can be used. And my God, it has been used in the country for a long time. This is less practical than a plastic Mora knife. Same thing for this one. I got in a fair in Argentina in the country a long time ago. This is the bone of the leg of a ñandú, like an ostrich, right? One of these large birds. So bone, handle, and again, narrow tang, goes all the way, hammered. This is actually a coin that is used for making that butt cap there. You have to take care of it. It's not going to be as strong, but it will cut, right? It does that okay enough. If you want to get yourself a knife made by a good manufacturer, someone local, well, yeah, I encourage you to help out your local blacksmiths. Some full tang knife, something like this, would work nicely. Yeah, this is a little bit dirty. I have to clean it up. But this could be an option. These made by BPS Knives. These are from Ukraine, of all places. Very well made. Affordable, nice sheath, fire steel. This would be a very nice survival knife. Getting closer to that medium size. But yeah, barely on that small size, at least for me. It could be considered even a medium size, if we're being honest. But full tang, 1060 carbon steel. Really a good knife and affordable. I think they go for like $50 or so. So this is a solid option. Then you have more tactical-ish looking knives, like the ones from the Air Force survival pilot knives or something along those lines. Small clip point knives. I still would recommend a Mora-like knife for most of those. Nothing that thing does is beyond the capabilities of your $10 Mora. This Mora will do anything that knife over there will, or yeah, maybe this one's a little bit bigger, but man, most of the things, if not all of them, you can do with a very affordable knife. Now then you have the more dedicated application knife, like these ones, the Boker TDI for self-defense knives, right? These have a nice little thing there that can pull it out. So these are okay, and yeah, you don't have anything out there, and there's techniques and striking and all of this good stuff. Gerber Guardian, is it? This is very much specifically used for, for self-defense, for using it as a defensive tool, and it has that proper application. There's nothing wrong with it. I actually carry this one. This is a Culloden from Cold Steel, back in the day in which they made these things in the US. Carbon 5 steel, very nice pointy blade, and it's super sharp too, which adds up to its usefulness as a knife, but mostly intended to be carried inside the waistband as something for self-defense. And I have carried it, and fortunately I've never had to use it, but I was always glad I had it with me. Keep in mind your own legal restrictions, your own laws, specifically with knives. If you have this in UK, you will end up in jail for a very long time. In most other civilized places, there's going to be maybe some kind of restriction, and some there's maybe none at all. But make sure you know your local laws before you carry, especially before you carry any of these things that are strictly something that, I mean, these are intended as self-defense tools, right? Now with these ones, it's a little bit more, well, this is a carpenter's knife, right? This is the kind of thing you find in hardware stores. It's orange. I mean, legally speaking, it's going to be making no difference if you have specific laws against this sort of stuff. But when there is a bit of wiggle room, this is like a Victorinox fixed blade, right? It looks like an orange carpenter knife. It doesn't look really all that much as a weapon, even though, let's be completely real, yeah, you can definitely use this for self-defense. In fact, I would use this for self-defense over the TDI knife. As fancy as this sounds, the Detective TDI, well, the good old $1.50 Hultafors with a decent handle and a very sharp blade and nice, very pointy tip can be used for that as well, and it will not grab as much attention. And if you have to explain, this is what I use for camping, for preparing sandwiches, for cutting a few sticks for starting a fire or just fishing. Whatever the heck it is you use it for, this will probably fit the bill. Guys, that is the advice that I have in terms of small survival knives. Survival knives, bushcraft knives, tiny knives for your different kits. It's gonna be either a Mora, Hultafors, a Baco, or a bunch of these. Stanley made these a while back. I think they're still around. These are very decent for the money. So something along these lines is probably what you want to go with. See you in the next video. Take care.